I had always dreamed of adventure. Maybe it was something about living in New York, the crowds, the noise, the rush of people always walking faster than you, that made me want to escape sometimes. So one late spring, I decided to do something unusual. I booked a solo trip to Africa. Not just any part of Africa. The Sahara Desert. Everyone thought I was crazy. My sister laughed. My friends asked if I'd gone mad. But something inside me longed to see the open skies and golden sand. I wanted to feel the silence that only the desert could offer. I wanted to go far from the city lights and listen to the wind whisper over dunes. I flew from JFK to Casablanca, then took a smaller plane, and finally a long ride by jeep toward the edge of the Sahara. When I arrived, I was overwhelmed. The sand stretched forever. The sky was a soft orange, slowly darkening as evening approached. I'd never seen stars that bright. It was like the whole sky had been dusted with silver. But what touched me most were the people. Their smiles were kind and real. Their skin, deep brown like polished earth, glowed in the sun. The local guide who met me at the small village was warm and gentle, speaking in slow English. I didn't understand everything, but I felt safe. The next few days were like a dream. I joined a small group of travelers, and we rode camels through the dunes. We watched the sunset paint the sands with fire. We ate simple meals cooked over small fires and listened to stories passed down for generations. But on the fourth evening, something strange happened. I wandered a little farther from the group, just to take some pictures alone. I thought I knew the way back. But as the sky turned darker, I realized I didn't. The wind had shifted the dunes, and everything looked the same. My heart began to race. I called out but heard nothing but the wind. My phone had no signal. The stars began to shine, but I felt no peace. I was lost. I walked for what felt like an hour.
My feet sank into the soft sand.
My lips were dry. I was beginning to panic when I saw a soft light in the distance. A lamp, flickering like hope in the darkness. I walked toward it, unsure if I was dreaming. As I came closer, I saw a small clay home, standing alone between the dunes. A simple door, a roof made of wood and cloth. And then I saw him. A tall man stepped out into the light. His skin was dark and smooth, his face strong but calm. He wore a white robe, his eyes wide as he saw me. "Are you all right?" he asked in a slow, deep voice. I got lost," I said, breathless. "I didn't mean to come here. I'm sorry." He didn't look angry. He nodded and opened the door wider.
"Come."
"You shouldn't be out here alone." I stepped inside, nervous but grateful. The air was cooler inside. He gave me water and then brought a small dish of warm food, bread, beans, and a bit of stew. I had never tasted something so simple yet comforting. I asked if I could stay the night. He looked at me for a moment, then nodded. "There is space, but it is quiet here. Some say the animals cry out at night." I smiled weakly. "I'll take quiet over being lost." He laid out 2 sleeping mats, one across the room from the other. The lamp cast a soft golden glow. As the night deepened, I tried to sleep, but the silence was broken by sharp sounds, howls, the crunch of movement in the sand, distant cries of wild creatures. I turned and saw him lying still, eyes closed. But I couldn't stay calm. My fear grew stronger. The shadows danced on the walls. I sat up, trembling. Then I whispered, "Can I come closer? I'm afraid." His eyes opened slowly, and he nodded once. I moved my mat closer to his, not touching, just near enough to feel less alone. Another loud cry echoed outside. I covered my ears and curled up, but my body moved closer to his. I didn't plan it. I just needed to feel safe. When I felt his arm gently rest around my shoulders, I didn't stop him. I rested my head against his chest, my heart still pounding. I listened to his calm breathing. His warmth felt like a shield. I wasn't thinking about where I was or who he was. I just knew I needed comfort. Somewhere in the silence between the wild noises and my fear, I felt something shift. A strange closeness formed, unspoken and unexpected. I didn't sleep much. I remember drifting in and out, sometimes leaning against him, sometimes lying beside him. Nothing was said, but everything felt louder in the quiet night. When the sun rose, I sat up quickly. The golden light touched the sand outside. Reality came back like a wave. I looked at him. He was already awake, staring out the small window.
He didn't speak.
I felt a deep sense of regret, not because anything wrong had happened, but because I didn't understand what I was feeling. I barely knew him. I was a guest, a stranger, and I had allowed myself to lean on someone in a way I never had before. "I'm sorry," I whispered, not sure what I was apologizing for. He turned to me and said quietly, "You were afraid. It's all right." His kindness didn't make it easier. I stood up, brushing the sand from my clothes. He walked me back toward the village after we shared a quiet meal. No one asked where I had been. No one needed to know. But something had changed in me. I had come for the silence of the desert, but I had found something else. I had seen kindness in a stranger. I had felt the warmth of protection without words. And though I left his home with confusion in my heart, I also left with a quiet sense of attraction. Not just to him, but to the desert, to its people, to the way they lived simply, without noise or rush. I never saw him again. But sometimes, late at night, in my busy New York apartment, I close my eyes and remember the wind, the stars, and that quiet place where fear and comfort had met. And I wonder if it wasn't just the desert I had fallen for. Back in New York, everything moved too fast again. The cars honked, people pushed past on sidewalks, and phones never stopped ringing. But I wasn't the same anymore. Something inside me had slowed down, had opened up. I would sit by the window of my apartment, looking out at the city lights, yet my mind wandered to that desert night. I could still hear the quiet crackle of the fire, feel the warmth of his breath when I leaned near, and remember how his steady presence had calmed me in a way no one else ever had. Sometimes, I held the simple clay necklace he had given me that morning before we parted. "To remember the desert," he'd said with a half smile. But I remembered more than just sand and stars. I remembered trust. I remembered the comfort of being held without demands. I remembered how, in the most unlikely place, with a man I barely knew, I felt safe. And though our paths had split, a part of me still waited.